for a home that has exploded.
Neighborhood remains blocked off tonight.
This is a highly significant explosion.
Bomb had gone off.
The lights flickered and the TVs went on and off.
3 has live team coverage.
A huge crowd outside.
A 57-year-old man was taken to the hospital.
It's astonishing to me that anybody can have a house fall on them and still be alive.
Good evening. We begin with breaking news. A neighborhood remains blocked off tonight after a house explosion. This is a picture of the damage done to that home. A 57-year-old man was taken to UW Hospital. He is in critical condition. Fitchburg's fire chief tells us he was pulled from the rubble. The home is on Sherrill Drive, which is off of Fish Hatchery Road. It's about a block from the UW clinic on Fish Hatch. People are being asked to avoid that area. Our colleague Susan Simon joins us live from Fitchburg to go over details of what happened tonight. Good evening, Susan.
The most important thing to be thankful for tonight is that one person was injured in this explosion, which is remarkable considering the extent of the damage and the way people are talking about the intensity of the explosion. A 57-year-old man, we do not know his name yet, was taken to the hospital. He was found in the debris outside of his house in critical condition, and that gives you some idea of the force of this blast. We got an update here about 15 minutes ago from Fitchburg Fire Chief Joe Pulvermacher and Mayor Steve Arnold, and here is what we know at this hour. Firefighters responded to the scene around 6:45 tonight. The home on Sherrill Parkway in the Tower Hill subdivision is destroyed. The fire chief tells us that 4 families were displaced and that 20 of the surrounding homes sustained damage. And Fire Chief Pulvermacher described this as a significant explosion.
There's not a lot that have been experienced like this, and none in the city of Fitchburg.
Now, I live about half a mile from the scene, and around 6:45 tonight, I was making dinner for my family, and it sounded like a cannon went off in our living room. That's really the best way that I can describe it. And all of the windows in our house shook, and all of our neighbors ran outside, so there were a lot of people here. It was very chaotic, and a lot of people tonight are still in shock. Our Leah Lynchide has been here at the scene all day this afternoon, and you had an opportunity to talk to some neighbors in Tower Hill, Leah.
Just like you said, Susan, a huge crowd outside. As soon as they heard that blast, they ran outside. People coming from blocks or even miles away who could hear and even feel that blast.
We were just finishing dinner, and we heard this extraordinary explosion, and the windows rattled, and something blew.
Now, some of the damage we saw on scene tonight, windows completely blown out, like the fire chief said. That brings up some structure questions. A lot of folks said as soon as they came outside to see what was going on, they saw insulation raining from the sky. They could smell this insulation burning. When I got there on scene, I could still see debris in the street smoking from that explosion. And even blocks away, you could see light fixtures on the ceilings of these garages had been blown out of the ceiling, were hanging from the ceiling, and that's blocks away from that explosion.
Our team coverage continues right now. We head to Chris Gothner with more reaction from those in the neighborhood. Chris?
Hi, Charlotte. Well, to give you an idea of where I'm at, I'm on Mickelson Parkway right now. It's about a couple blocks north of Sherrill Drive where this explosion happened, and folks here are echoing much of what Susan said. I mean, they could just hear it rumble and hear it shake, and it sounded like a bomb is what a lot of folks said. In fact, I talked to one person who lives here in this neighborhood, but he was eating dinner at Benvenuto's on PD. He said you could hear it up there.
It just felt like a bomb had gone off. Like it shook my entire car. The people next to me were walking their dog. They almost like fell down, it looked like. Wasn't sure really what was going on, and I saw this huge plume of smoke, probably double the height of those trees back there.
And all of a sudden we heard it shook the place. And the lights flickered, and the TVs went on and off, and everybody, flocked out to the patio, and we could see the plume of smoke and the debris.
We're also getting in reports on our Facebook page that people were hearing this in Oregon and in Belleville and in McFarland and feeling it as well. So keep sending us details of what you heard and felt and pictures on our Facebook page, our Channel 3000 Facebook page. For now, back to you in the studio, Charlotte.
All right, Chris Gothner reporting for us tonight. Thank you so very much, Chris. So while investigators will take their time to look into this explosion, we look back at a home explosion in Sun Prairie in 2010 that killed a 26-year-old man and injured 2 others, one of whom was paralyzed. The explosion was believed to have been caused by a gas leak. The victims won a $5 million settlement from a local heating company that had installed a new furnace in the home less than a week before the explosion.
The man's in critical condition. 23 homes have been damaged, a number of them destroyed. We have live team coverage this morning. Danica Lewis is anchoring our coverage there along with Eden Shekel and Valina Jones. Let's start, though, and say good morning to Danica. And Danica, you just heard the fire chief there at the start of the program say they've never seen anything like this before in that city.
I can honestly say I've never seen anything like this either, and I think a lot of neighbors around here hadn't felt or heard anything like this. The fire chief, all he could say about the injuries of that man involved in all of this is that they were typical for what you would see with this kind of situation: cuts, burns, and fractures. Now, this all happened right around 6:45, so right around dinner time last night. As you saw there, the home is destroyed. At least 23 other homes, though, were damaged, and firefighters believe 3 or maybe even 4 of them will have to be torn down. 4 families are displaced this morning, we're told. And firefighters again say the man who was hurt, who has not been identified, was found in the debris outside of his house that would have been his front yard.
The person was pulled from the rubble, and they were once again transported to the hospital. Don't have much information in the way of that right now, other than the fact that that's the only patient that we had reported. There are no other reported casualties, and we don't have anybody reported missing at this time.
We hope to learn more today of whether or not that gas leak was connected to what happened here. Now, the big disruption for folks this morning is going to be your commute. Valina Jones is live on Fish Hatchery Road.
Well, Danica, this is a very busy intersection, and police are doing their very best to make sure that the morning commute is not inhibited too much. We have one lane open in both directions, both south and northbound, and you can see there is just debris all over. There has been debris cleared out in those 2 lanes for people to travel through.
Valina Jones reporting live for us. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. And the other aspect of all of this is just how many people it impacted last night, how many people heard, felt, and we're wondering what happened here as this explosion happened. Our Eden Shekel is live with us this morning, and this could be felt for blocks, even miles away, it sounds like.
It certainly could, Danica. I mean, frightening, scary, and creepy, even creepy was used to describe the explosion that residents heard Thursday evening. 1 minute, you're getting ready to make dinner. The next minute, you and your family are running out of your house. Explain what was going on.
Yeah, we were getting ready to make supper, and all of a sudden we heard the first explosion. And again, we didn't know what it was. I turned around, and my kitchen, it felt like it was chasing me. Dishes were coming out of the cupboard and straight at me. We heard the second explosion. I recall my sister-in-law, who was in the house with us as well, said something about a bomb. She thought a bomb went off. So we didn't know to leave the house, stay in the house, and this is all in a matter of seconds, but then we decided to take off. As we were running out of the house, we heard the third explosion, and debris was raining down on us. My dog was still in the house. I had to turn around and go get my dog, and thankfully, all of us are safe, not a scratch on any one of us. My sister-in-law did get a cut on her foot, that was it, but thank God that we're safe.
How are you guys doing? So you said you've lived in this house for about 8 years. How are you holding up this morning? What are some thoughts that are going through your mind right now?
I haven't slept at all last night. My wife, I think, got maybe an hour of sleep. Honestly, it's just stuff that can be replaced. We're all okay. Obviously, thoughts and prayers out to the gentleman in the house next to us. Don't know him that well, but we see him walk his dog. But again, we're safe, and that's really all that matters. Basically, there's some pictures in the house, obviously, that we can retrieve. But again, it's just stuff that can be replaced.
And you were telling me that not long before this happened, you and your family were actually outside of the house, but you're grateful that you actually happened to be inside of the house when all this went down. Explain why.
Yeah, my wife and I and my sister-in-law just kind of took a drive around the neighborhood just to kind of get out of the house, and we're coming back to make supper. And if we wouldn't have been home, I don't know if my dog would have made it, because we don't pen her. She's a good dog, and she runs around the house. So I'm really thankful that we got home to get her out because she's like our baby.
And Donnie, what's next today? I mean, what information are you waiting for? What are you hoping to find out?
We got information this morning to call the police department, which I did. I gave them my information, and they said hopefully right around 11, maybe noon, that we would hear something to hopefully get back in the house and get just some of our belongings. I don't know. Our house is pretty destroyed, so I don't know if it'll be stable enough for us to go in because it is a tri-level. But hopefully we can get some clothes, and
sure.
Family and friends have been really helpful. We're staying at a hotel, so take it one step at a time.
All right, Donnie, we appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming out. Eden, thank you so much for your work this morning, and we're going to send it back to Adam in studio. Again, we will be following the story all day, hopefully learning more information for the folks living around here and about that gentleman who was hurt in all of this.
Yeah, trying to figure out what caused this in the first place as well.
Absolutely.
All right. We want to take one last look out at this house explosion seen in Fitchburg. This is right off of Fish Hatchery Road near the UW Health Clinic there on Fish Hatch. One man is in critical condition. We're hoping to gain a little more information on his status.
A Fitchburg man is recovering in the hospital after his house exploded.
Take a look behind me. This was Brian Grittner's home. Now it has essentially been reduced to ruins. And we talked to his mom today, who shares his story.
He said he opened the refrigerator door, put the half a steak away, and the next thing he woke up in an ambulance, and he didn't know anything of how he got there. So
that's what Neldine Nichols says her son, 57-year-old Brian Grittner, told her in the hospital.
It's astonishing to me that anybody can have a house fall on them and get out and still be alive, basically.
First tonight at 6, it was an explosion that rocked a Fitchburg neighborhood, and tonight we are learning the cause behind that explosion.
Our Keely Arthur is live from Fitchburg with what is now being determined as the cause. Keely.
We've been waiting for more than 5 weeks to understand exactly what caused this explosion here on Sherrill Drive. And tonight, the homeowner's attorney says he has the answer: an uncapped gas line. The day of the blast in August, tree trimmers asked Grittner to turn off the water valve, but he mistakenly opened the gas valve, which was attached to the uncapped line, causing gas to fill the house, leading to the explosion.